Well, hello, welcome back. This is Mike from Music City. We've got another installment here of Ranking Records, and we're gonna do this one a little differently. And what we're gonna call today's is bands or artists that we've learned to dislike. We've learned to dislike. Now, being serious music fans, we all love to be snobs, and we all love to be contrarian to what's popular sometimes and not like what's really popular. And sometimes even we go back on things that we used to like and we stop liking the band. And I think sometimes it falls in the category of we don't decide we didn't like what we thought we liked, but sometimes we like the earlier work and we just kind of don't like what maybe they've done later. Sometimes it's the personality of the artist involved, sometimes it's the music, sometimes it's maybe we just want to be a snob. But we're going to look at 10 bands today, and I'm really ready to, ready to take some attack on this one possibly. But I think if you're serious about music as I am, I think you probably share some of these feelings about some of these bands. Now, I'm going to start off with the band that this whole discussion got started on a few days ago. And the first band I'm going to pick on is Mumford Sons. And somebody made the comment when we started talking about this band, and they said, remember those 3 months where we all thought Mumford Sons were just so great? And I said, was it really that long? Well, their debut album, I think when it first came out, we really all jumped on it and liked it. It sounded kind of fresh and new, and it was kind of on the edge of Americana, and it was really folksy and rootsy, very traditional. But then it seemed like every other band and their brother were sounding like Mumford Sons, whether it's the Lumineers, the Head and the Heart, whatever. And I think we got kind of tired of it, and I think we kind of realized, you know what, this album might not have been as great as we thought it was. And I'm going to throw that in this category, that I'm going back and looking, and I really didn't care for this record as much as I thought I once did. I saw the first tour. The show was kind of okay, didn't mind it. And again, again, we're us snobs or contrarians. When they tour, they play arenas, so they still have their popularity. But the first one I'm going to chalk up that a band that a lot of us have learned to dislike would be Mumford Sons. Next, I'm going to go with two artists. I'm going to kind of lump them together because I think maybe the disdain that we have for them in some respects is similar. And then again, maybe not totally all justified. Well, we'll see. Well, the first band, and we know there's so many people that love to hate Coldplay. But this is their debut album, Parachutes. It is still, in my opinion, a brilliant album. It was very, very, it was sort of innovative at the time, and it really was on a cutting edge alongside, when Radiohead was just coming into vogue. And I still think this is a great record. I saw them at the Ryman, I loved it. Saw them go through the ranks and play, amphitheaters and arenas. But what happened? Did we get tired of Chris Martin? He married an actress, became omnipresent, he was everywhere, and we had to hear what Chris Martin thought about this, that, and the other thing, and maybe we didn't like that. I know some people poke fun at the music not being as good. I'm not that much of a Coldplay hater. I don't think a lot of the latter work holds up to the standards that Parachutes did, but nonetheless, I think a lot of us today love to hate Coldplay. Maybe has a lot to do with Chris Martin. As done this next band, and this may become surprise, and this is going to be, really, breaking some china. U2. Let's face it, this is their second album, October. Great record. A lot of us don't like U2. I'm kind of ambivalent. I still enjoy U2, like the music. I think my beef with U2 is I just don't think that they're one of the greatest bands in the world. I mean, on any given night, if U2 was playing somewhere and one of my favorite local bands was playing, I'd probably want to go see one of my favorite local bands. I did see the last tour. It was okay. It was good. I personally don't think U2's latter work is as good as the earlier work. Don't have any, disdain for the earlier work. I still think it holds up very well. But like Chris Martin, how many of us got tired of Bono? I mean, Bono was everywhere. We had to think about, hear what Bono thought about this, what Bono thought about that, what Bono thought about everything. Maybe that wore us out a little bit. I know there's a lot of U2 haters out there, but there are a lot of U2 lovers. I'm not discrediting their early work in any way, but that's our third. Two bands that came around the same time I'm gonna lump together. This cover doesn't really do much for us, but this is Neon Bible by Arcade Fire. And maybe this is a little surprise to be in this group here, but man, when this might have been, I think, their second record, I was really high on this record. I thought it was really, really good. My son, matter of fact, really was the one that got me in Arcade Fire. Saw the tour, loved it. Some great songs on this record. But you know what? I saw them when they played the arena a couple of years later, and I just they were horrible. I just think musically, they lost their direction. I don't even know what it was that they were trying to do. We don't even hear much about them anymore. I don't know. I don't know. I just a band maybe without direction would be a good way to describe it. But again, some of you may not even care for them in the first place. I still like this record and some of the songs. Maybe not as highly as I once thought. But number 4, Arcade Fire. Number 5, some local boys. I may get some crap here, but Kings of Leon. Now, Kings of Leon put out a couple of great early records. Local heroes. We love to go see their live shows. They were always fantastic. And you know, and then they had this was the what was this called? I can't remember can't read. Shake Heartbreak album. The song The Bucket was on here was a great song. But then they had their big hit album and Use Me, and you know, they won Grammys and Record of the Year, sold millions and millions of records. And then what happened? Well, the music after that didn't hold up. There was some meltdowns in the band. I mean, the famous story where they were playing at a concert, I think, in St. Louis, and some pigeons flew over and dropped some excrement on them, and they all left. They quit the show and left stage in disgust. I think one of them married a model. That always is a strike against you. And I don't know, it was just a lot of disharmony amongst this band of brothers and a cousin. So don't know what happened. You know, I don't think I dislike any of those popular records, but I on the other hand, I can't tell you the last time I listened to them either. So Kings of Leon, you know, a band like that could surprise us with a comeback, but right now I don't think that they're high on very many people's lists. Number 6, and this is one I don't quite understand, because I guess I don't understand why I like this artist in the first place, and then I truly don't understand exactly what it is I don't like about him, but I just don't really like him, and that's John Mayer. Now, I remember when this first record came out, was at Room for Squares. I was just fascinated by the song No Such Thing. I just thought it was a great, great song, and I loved it. And I made a comment to a friend of mine once that I'm really hooked on that new John Mayer song, and he said, don't worry, there's a cure for that. And I think he was right. I think as time went on, you know, I just realized I wasn't much of a John Mayer fan. And he had some god-awful song. What was it, like Your Body is a Wonderland or something? And there's just something about this guy that just, I don't know, it just doesn't make him very likable. It's kind of like maybe somebody I hate to say this, your mom would like her. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly. I could put my finger on it, but I'm just not a John Mayer fan. I know a lot of people really don't like him. They say he is a great, great, great guitar player. I really wonder what Grateful Dead fans really think about John Mayer now that he plays with Dead & Company. But again, let's respect his guitar playing talents, but there's just something about John Mayer that put him on this list. That's 6. So number 7. Now, this is the Police box set, and this is how I have the Police on CD in my collection, which was their complete works. I love the Police. I still love the Police. Their catalog was fantastic. But you know, near the end of their career, it seemed like they stopped getting along. And was it a case that they stopped liking Sting just like you and I did? Sting became quite pretentious, did he not? And we just had enough of him. His solo work never did anything for me. You know, he unfortunately introduced me to the word tantric sex. I just didn't really care to know about that. You know, just some things better left unsaid from your musical performers that you admire. But I don't know. I just I don't think I'd go see Sting if he was playing down the street. But again, it's a case here where I go back and look at this Police catalog with great fondness. Saw some really great Police shows. Saw the one of the early tours at the Bottom Line in New York. Loved him, but I know the Police have fallen from favor with more than just me. All right, for number 8 and 9, we're going to go a little bit classic rocky. And we've talked about this one artist before, and that's Peter Frampton. And here's the album that did it all, Frampton Comes Alive. Before this, he put out 4 great solo records. I loved each and every one of them. And he became popular. He was great live. He had a couple of hits, and this record just ruined him. It ruined him. You know, everybody and their brother had this record. You couldn't turn anywhere without hearing it or seeing it. You just got sick of it. And Frampton did some self-sabotaging things in his own career. You know, he did that horrible Sgt. Pepper's movie. He would take his shirt off in concert, you know, sort of becoming the sex symbol. He did an album after this one. Was it I'm When You or something like that? It was terrible. And then he just kind of went back to mediocrity. Put out a lot of records that nobody really paid attention to. But he came back around, did the anniversary tour for this record. I realized how much I loved the live show that he had without all the fanfare and out all the pretense. He's a great guitar player. He's a great artist. I still look back on those first 4 records in fondness. I don't know that I really care to hear, you know, the talk box anymore. We kind of got that beaten to death. But yeah, there's a lot of Frampton haters out there, and I think there's more non-forgivers than there are forgivers like me. Last but not least, gosh, how could we? You probably know who this is going to be. Who is the band that everyone loves to hate? And that's the Eagles, or Eagles. There's no "the" in it. I got my Eagles. I had these things on 8-track. I don't think I ever bought the Eagles on vinyl. And I just decided one day to buy this box set with all their albums and give it a listen from start to finish. And I will say without a doubt that the first 3 Eagles albums, that's Eagles, Desperado, and On the Border, I love these 3 records, and I still love them today. They are great classic country rock records. But this is when the Eagles were Henley Fry, Ledden, and Meisner. Ledden and Meisner either got kicked out of the band or left the band because they couldn't stand Don Henley and Glenn Fry. I don't know really all about it. I haven't read too much about the Eagles. And then it just seemed from down there, you know, when you got Timmy Schmidt, who I like Timmy Schmidt, but Timmy Schmidt's not an Eagle to me. Then you got Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh is not an Eagle to me. And, you know, it just wasn't the same anymore. And gosh, if I have to hear Hotel California one more time, I want to scream. And, you know, they say Henley's a jerk. I don't know him. I'll accept that what they say about that. And then they started touring incessantly at ridiculous ticket prices, living off the laurels of these old records. And they didn't put out a record for, I don't know, for a long, long time. And they put out a record maybe 5 years ago, and it was crap. So that's it with the Eagles. You know, I love those 3 records. I don't change your mind about it, but I would, like I said, I wouldn't go see the Eagles if they were playing free down the street. You know, just not interested. And sadly, Glenn Fry isn't with us anymore. Now we got some more new Eagles. Vince Gill is an Eagle. Glenn Fry's son is an Eagle. You know, they certainly fall into one of these. They're going to fall into one of these categories of the bands that'll never die. I've got a great blog story on the bands that will never die. I think you need to check out at musiccity.mike. But again, and guess what? I said there was going to be 10, and there's only 9. I want you to pick your number 10. Put it down there in the comments list. Who did I miss? Who is a band or an artist that we have learned to dislike, being the music snobs that we are? Well, I'd also like to hear if I have any disagreement with these comments. But again, this was fun. A little bit of a diversion. I think we're going to go back to doing an artist for our next installment. Please, please, please support my blog. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. And, you know, share it on your socials. Tell everybody about it. I want people to see these, and I just, because I enjoy doing them, and I want others to enjoy them too. But again, this is Mike from Music City. Thanks for spending time with us tonight.